Welcome back to Pearl Magazine. We continue our special coverage of the Philippine 2022 presidential elections.
May dinugan ka ngayon. Luluto na. Dinugan, pork caldereta.
Sandra Tando lives here in Metro Manila with her child and partner. She runs a small canteen, printing business, and delivers soft drinks and LPG.
Lahat ng family ko, puro BBM kami. Pati sa province.
Ate, ano mga gusto mong pagbabago sa buhay mo pagkatapos ng eleksyon?
Gusto ko magkaroon ng free education para sa anak ko. Free hospitalization para sa anak ko rin. Para sa future ng anak ko at sa future ng mga Pilipino. Tapos yung mga energy crisis na nangyayari sa atin, which is napakalikan. Taas ng sa bayad sa electric, sa bayad sa tubig. Lahat halos.
Sandra is an engineer who worked as an overseas Filipino worker, or OFW, in a factory in Taiwan over 10 years ago.
I'm a licensed engineer, pero nag-work ako sa Taiwan. Factory worker. Ang kasabayan ko, ang supervisor ko, mga nag-aaral pa lang ng engineering. So, yung alam ko, this is pag-aaralan pa lang nila. Pero degraded ako. Nakita ko yung mga kasamahan ko na umalis, baby pa lang yung mga anak nila, and then pagbalik nila, hindi sila kilala ng mga anak nila.
After 8 years there, she came back to the Philippines. She says she wants a country that has more to offer its people and believes Bongbong Marcos will deliver this.
Magpapatayo siya ng maraming hospitals as much as possible, and every region kakaroon ng mga doctors.
Sandra hasn't been happy with the presidents that followed the people power revolution.
Last 5 president, I'm not content. Si Coco Alcuaz, I think all she does, benta lang, magsira lang ng Marcos. Wala naman akong nakitang bagong programs like transportation, education. Wala naman siyang ginawa eh. Si Coco Alcuaz. Si Fidel Ramos, gumawa nga siya ng dam. Pero marami naman siyang binenta. Si Gloria, makapagal, binenta niya yung Manila Bay. Tapos si Ninoy Aquino. So easy to buy drugs during his term.
Will you be upset if Bongbong tries to stay longer than 6 terms?
That's okay for me. If tutuparin niya yung mga promises niya, I'm sure yung education is magiging free na, just like sa ibang bansa.
But this is exactly what the opposition is warning against. And even if Sara Duterte is his running mate, the president hasn't endorsed Bongbong.
I think Duterte knows that once he endorses the Marcoses and the Marcos will win the presidency, then there's no turning back from that. They won't let go of power, and that will deprive even his daughter of the chance to be president someday. The Marcoses are known for that. They don't let go of power. They did that with the presidency.
Bongbong's closest opponent is Leni Robredo, lawyer, former congresswoman, and the current vice president, who appears to have the support of the middle and upper classes.
Surveys of the financial sector and maybe some executives that show that she's favored by them because they perceive her to be, probably in contrast to the current administration, more business friendly in the sense that her policies would keep and attract investment, maybe not scare investment away. So I think there's a lot of support for her within the business community.
And her supporters say her ethics make her the best candidate.
She's not corrupt, she's masipag.
Basically, she's transparent, her track record.
She has proven herself in the past 5 years. Even the history of her service is there already.
Despite this, she's struggling to pick up the largest part of the population, the poor. And Bongbong's family history seems to have little impact on the majority of voters.
When the pandemic came, all classes of Filipino people, whether you're rich, you're a middle income, or you belong to those who are not so privileged and blessed, they still bring him or her to the very same institutions that his father did 40 years ago. We still bring our patients, our COVID patients, to the lung center of the Philippines, the Philippine Heart Center, and when you want to the Philippine General Hospital. From the time the government fell in 1986 and all the way now, today is already 2022, nothing moved, nothing was introduced, nothing was offered in between.
His opponents, especially those who suffered during his father's time, want to remind people of what happened to those who opposed him.
I was imprisoned in November 1972. And I said, will it be overnight? So I packed a small bag. Well, that overnight extended to 4 years, 10 months, and 3 days. Now, they never told me why I was picked up.
Sergio Osmena III, known as Serge, is the grandson of the 4th president of the Philippines, the son of Marcos Sr.'s presidential opponent when he was imprisoned. He and his friend and cellmate Eugenio Henny Lopez were charged with attempting to kill the president.
But they never showed us the charge sheet.
After 2 years, the charges were changed to rebellion.
That's a political crime. Who did I rebel against? They wouldn't answer. So I brought it to the Supreme Court.
Eventually, Serge decided to plan his escape.
So I looked at my bars, and there were 8 nails, 2, 2, and 2. I pulled it out very slowly. It took me an hour to pull out the first nail, but I pulled out the first nail, and the 7 other nails took me 5 minutes each. And the Supreme Court sat on my case until I escaped. And the Supreme Court said, well, he escaped, so we're dropping the case.
Serge left the Philippines for the U.S. in 1977, where he lived in exile until 1992.
And in 1991, when I saw all the Marcos people returning to the Philippines, I said, you know, the coming elections, the 92 elections are going to be very critical. We've got to return home. And I decided to join politics then.
Serge is a 3-time senator and says he has retired from politics, but he says it's important to act as a watchdog to the Marcoses.
We're backing Lenny Robredo, but I think I'm more concentrated on bringing down Bongbong Marcos first. 60% of the Filipino people believe that Bongbong is perfect. My latest survey on the father is that 63% of the Filipino people believe he did great things for the country. He's one of the great leaders of our country.
How has he managed this image?
He detained about 70,000 people. He tortured about 25,000. He killed about over 3,000. But that's 1/10 of 1% of our people. The rest were not harmed.
Chavit Singson, mayor of Narvacan, located in Ilocos province known as Marcos country, is a staunch supporter of both the father and the son. Despite being enemies with Marcos Sr.'s allies in the 1960s before he entered politics, Mayor Chavit doesn't blame Marcos for the attempts on his life by Marcos's allies.
Before I became governor, they tried to kill me several times. In fact, I have actual ambush 6 times. People with me are being killed.
After winning the governorship, the previous political clan made an attempt on his life at a town fiesta.
They threw 2 hand grenades, and that killed a lot of people on the dance floor. Hundreds were wounded. All the hospitals, you cannot imagine how they were jailed. It so happened that the terrorism was tolerated here because they are allies with President Marcos. It's not the doing of President Marcos, but his allies. So they were tolerated. Of course, President Marcos doesn't like it, but he cannot do anything because they're his biggest supporters.
Chavit says he was asked by Imelda Marcos, the First Lady then, to forgive them.
No problem, ma'am. And I myself went to the National Penitentiary for the release of all the, including the people who ambushed me. That's how it is started, because I want peace and order. I cannot restore, we can never have any progress without restoring peace and order. So peace and order, I have to reconcile to everybody.
He says he believes Bongbong Marcos is a president who can unite the country.
Bongbong Marcos needs that to unite our nation, because this is the only chance now that we'll be having a majority president. I'm very positive that he will clear everything. He will not do what the people are, trying to paint about them.
There has to be a lot of watchdogs. When you're president, you're all powerful. Nothing else matters. Even the Senate doesn't matter. The president is the most powerful person in this country. And he can get away with anything.
Our call for unity is there. And when he will be blessed to enjoy the mandate of the Filipino people, Bongbong Marcos will be the president of each and every Filipino.
Do you think it's his destiny?
I hope so.
That's the show. Thanks for watching. Good night.